Hello everybody, my name is Chris and this is the FeiyuTech G6, a 3-axis stabilized handheld gimbal. Let's see what's inside. It comes inside a nice carrying case to protect the gimbal when it's not in use. Inside we can find the warranty card and a short instruction manual. There is a little box that contains a micro USB charging cable, a USB to USB-C cable for being able to connect a GoPro Hero 5 or Hero 6 to the gimbal directly, and 2 spare screws. Else we can find the rechargeable battery, as well of course as the gimbal itself. The gimbal feels very well made and has a front display, a joystick, a function button and a shutter button. I like how the roll axis is lowered, so for those with a newer GoPro they still have access to the screen. On the right side you can find a micro USB port which is used for charging the gimbal, and a settings button which can be used when the GoPro is connected to the gimbal via wireless. On the back you can find a trigger button and a horizontal adjustment button. On the left side there is a 1/4 inch 20 thread to mount some accessories, like for instance a shoe for a microphone. On the bottom there is also a 1/4 inch 20 thread to connect it on a tripod or add another grip. I bought it for use with a GoPro camera, but for people with Sony RX0 cameras there is an optional camera adapter kit that can be bought separately. The battery is inserted easily in the back, and to mount the GoPro there are 2 options. Unfortunately neither are really optimal, as it is necessary to fully slide in the camera. So depending on how it is inserted, either the power button on the Hero 5 and Hero 6 or the door with the connectors is being blocked. So for those with a newer GoPro that can be voice activated, this is definitely less of an issue. And when it is inserted with the door facing outwards, the GoPro can even be charged by the gimbal, simply by connecting the appropriate cable. As I don't have a new GoPro, I cannot demonstrate this, but I have seen it work without issues. To balance the gimbal, insert the camera fully and tighten the screws. And check whether it is tilting towards the left or towards the right. Then you can loosen up the small ring on the axis knob and slide the arms until the setup is properly balanced. This should be done while the gimbal is still powered off. Once it is properly balanced, the knob should be tightened again. To power on the gimbal, long press the function button in the front. The display will show the logo, and once you hear the beep tone, release the button. The display shows whether Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are enabled, the current mode of gimbal and the battery indicator. If you have connected it to a camera via Wi-Fi, it can show if the camera is connected and whether you are in photo, time-lapse or video mode. In this case you can also use the setting button on the side to switch between the modes and GoPro settings. For the gimbal functionality there are 3 modes. Panning mode, which is the default, in which the camera roll and tilt are fixed and the camera moves according to the left-right movements of the user's hand. Lock mode, which locks the orientation of the camera completely, and then follow mode, in which the roll direction is fixed and the camera moves according to the left and right movements, as well as the up and down movements of the user's hand. To change between panning and lock mode, simply press the function button at the front once. When in panning or follow mode, you can also press and hold the trigger button in the back to get into lock mode. This will keep the mode active for as long as the button is being pressed. If you double tap the front button, the G6 will switch to follow mode. You can also control the roll axis by moving the joystick to the right or to the left. A triple tap gets you into selfie mode, to rotate the camera 180 degrees to point to yourself. To get back to normal operation, you would press the trigger button on the back twice, as this resets to the initial level. If you tap the function button on the front 4 times, you go into auto rotation mode, for which you will first set the starting point, then press the button again, next move it to the end point. Once you accept by pressing the function button yet again, the gimbal will move from the starting position to the end point position. This feature is great for making time lapses. The speed can be adjusted in the app, which we will talk about a bit later. Lastly, when pressing the function button 5 times, you would enter initialization mode. This should be done when the gimbal is either not level, it hasn't been used in a long time, or in case of extreme temperature variations. So this is not really a setting you would usually go through often. The horizontal adjustment button manages you to tilt the gimbal sideways a bit. To get the most of the gimbal, you should definitely download the FeiyuOn app, which is available for iOS and Android. To connect, turn on Bluetooth on the phone and start the app. After turning on the gimbal, the app should be able to find it and you can then connect via Bluetooth. Here you can adjust the modes and various settings. To have the gimbal control the camera via wireless, here is also where you can set up the Wi-Fi settings. You can adjust motor strength, various shooting scenes, joystick settings, and also the already mentioned auto-rotation speed. Here I would like to point out the following. As you have to set the speed of the motors individually, I have found that it is a bit tricky to find the correct relation between the two motors to make it one smooth movement. If they are not set right, then one axis will be faster and will stop moving while the other axis is not done yet. While being able to individually control the motors is nice, it would also be a good feature for being able to have this done automatically. I have found that sometimes the app gimbal connection is a bit unreliable, so it can be a bit slow or sometimes changes are not immediately taken. But after issuing a change a second time, it usually works fine. Following is some footage with and without the gimbal. I have to say that I really enjoy using the FeiyuTech G6 and I am definitely interested in looking into some of FeiyuTech's bigger gimbals like the A2000. Thanks for watching.